Ahoy there, matey. And it is I to tell you tales of the river and of the boats that travel upon it. That's right, baby. This is Theological Brodex, episode 14, Dingen, God of rivers, sailors, uh, ships, shipwright, and many, many more. This is an oft overlooked god. He's not as glamorous in the game as Elsam, goddess of the dawn, or Tuhul, the divinity of death. But Dingen, I think, should have way, way more uh, sort of, I guess, uh, intellectual rent space in the minds of with Learning and Fire players. And the reason I say this is because he's the Red River, like right through the middle of Kvagathel, right? Like the in the west, at least in the west, right through the middle of the big Red River, and that is Dingen. That's how the ships sail, how trade is done in that area. They get from Bale to First Port and then out upon the sea. It even goes into Cold Harbor into the lands of Nith. Wouldn't that be a game? Just sailing through as you sail into the icy cold. You come into this city of Cold Harbor. You come all the way from First Port, which is this place of freedom and to some extent to nautical joy. And you've got the Tatashans and the Thunder and the Dazazans and all of that. And then you come into this sort of small, more like small town, like small industrial town. These buildings of iron and steel and stone. And it's just the difference of going down a river. Now I happen to really like Dingen. I'm a fan of nautical stuff. I think it's cool. I like walking by the beach. I like seeing boats go by. And I'm from a place with a lot of beautiful rivers. And rivers are something I think are quite evocative for role playing games. It's weird. In a lot of games I play, walk around, go on adventures through like woods and mountains and hills, see the sea, the ocean, deserts. But rivers never show up in games, and it's weird because I know it's such a mundane thing, but they're so interesting, and there's so much you can do with them. Towns get founded on rivers. People do uh, bring ships along rivers, whether they're ships that are being rowed or small sail ships or longboats. One of my favorite book series, Redwall series, the Shrews, because it's like kind of like like a fantasy world, but it's all like animals instead of fantasy creatures. And the shrews have these log boats. They just go upon the river, the Gaussen shrews. I just find that stuff pretty cool. But so into this sort of nitty gritty of Dingen, his sort of core dominions, not going through everyone because you can read the book, but his core dominions are aid to seamen, boating, dock workers, dolphins, fishermen, rivers, sailors, ships, and then there's some more there too. And he is born of Igvale and Leviathan. Right, and we're running through the facts here. The most boring part, his holy weapons, tridents and nets. Holy number 14, and his symbol is a badass dolphin jumping out of the water, and it can be a tattoo or worked into anything, which I find it funny that it notes that it just gives this image of these sailors who you see like painted on the side of the ship. You see the dolphin, you see one of these big burly ogre satyrs. He's got the dolphin jumping out of the water tattooed on his shoulder, so he's a real sailor, so he's a real man of the river, of the lakes, of the sea, not a pirate, not a bastard who steals, but oh by God, a man of the river. Uh, um, just gives a kind of cool vibe, in my opinion. It's a badass holy symbol. I like his servitors, his spiritual servitors. They're called dolphins. And in the book they're in, they're like daemons of water and air, and they live within the Red River. And in the book they're in, the way they're described, their image, it just says a perfect dolphin, which what did Underwood mean by that? Um, I asked that I asked that question so many times when I read these books. But I like his sacrifices. You know, they have this very kind of what's the word for it? Bronze Agey feel, where you slaughter a cow or a sheep and you dump them into the water before voyages, and it says, "The taste of that which is of the land pleases this god." And you know, Dingen has this close friendship with Pelgan, who is a god of land and of light. And Dingen also carved himself into the land. That's what the Red River is. It literally is Dingen, and it's this river, and all the water in it is red, and it's thick with clay, and that clay is what Pelgan made the humans from. And so, just as Pelgan is the father of man, in many circles, Dingen could be seen as the uncle of man. And I certainly apply that in my games because I find it really interesting. Now, he is prayers are given when boarding ships or at any time in the morning. And his holy text, it's known as the Red Waves. I have this be, like an old kind of it's a book. It's not just an oral tradition, but it's a non-linear sort of collection of like stories and hymns, and even just like maps and like practical descriptions of certain routes and whatnot, and those parts are actually updated, whatnot by sailors. So there's this practical aspect to it. That's at least what I have it be in my games. And he tells his followers, respect the waterways of Kvegathel, fish them, but do not be greedy, and they will provide for you forever. Do not kill dolphins, as they are my children. So he's got a pretty simple, straightforward dogma, and there's more you can read in his 9 acts of irreverence, things he considers really bad. I won't read all of them, but for example, aiding the followers of Fatash or Kraken. He hates Fatash and Kraken. Fatash, the goddess of storms and thunder, and Kraken, the eldritch horror, the goddess of the deep ocean. Uh, Basically, within the Ring of Fire, Cthulhu, the Kraken, as these divinities. Really, I think Kraken is better, but there's definitely a Cthulhuid aspect to her. But Kraken and Fatash, they pose the greatest threats to sailors, particularly those who worship him. Uh, and it's made in Kavagathel. Dolphins and sharks are mortal enemies. So dolphins and sharks in Kavagathel will fucking fight each other, and it's awesome. You get ogres, fucking ogre sailors just sailing around to see if they can find it, so they watch the dolphin and shark fights because it's cool as hell. It's like seven dolphins versus two sharks just going at it, just thrashing through the waters, turning red like the Red River. Hell yeah. Dingen is married to Lacedarnia, the goddess of mothers and the goddess of marriage. So Dingen locked it down. Dingen locked down the best possible wife. If you look at all the female divinities of Kavagathel, I mean, like Shy may be a right wing art hoe, but she's no Lacedarnia. Um, but and he's friends with Pelgan, but he's great enemies as well with Nisknok Thage, the god of pirates, the god of rats and crabs and smuggling, and so there's that conflict between them. Uh, but yeah, so going through Dingen now, sort of. sort of going deeper. We have to go deeper. So talking about his dominions, right? This is a God of, in many ways, adventure, but he's in the court of order. So this isn't your swashbuckling, sort of romanticized, Jack Sparrow, sort of a sailor. This is this is your working man. This is your captain. This is your serious captain on the sea who knows that everyone on the boat has to pull their weight and needs to do what needs to be done, or else they will not make it to the next shore. This is your worker man, your dock worker, who takes his job seriously, who will not be prevented from doing his work, and who will be paid what he is owed, or you will find yourself in the river. This is the shipwright. These are salty folk. These are rough, hard, but good folk. And Dingenites can be a great way to sort of contrast the pomp and the deviousness and the tyranny of the other divinities of the court of order, and to show just simple good sailors. There's no abstract out there agenda of conquering the world. There's no insidious plan to get rid of this entire species. Actually, I take that back. The Dinganites do want to get rid of the sirens. That's because the sirens killing enslaved sailors on the rag, as the kids say. But Dingen, it's simple people. It's a simple, healthy, practical, very flexible order, because he's a god of water and air. So we got to think about that too. Not just the dominions, not just the ship working man, the sailor, the boater, all that, but the air and water. Igvale and Leviathan. This is one who he has. He is a mix of Leviathan, of water, which is this sort of adaptable, flexible, moody force. Think of the ever flowing oceans that carry the ships, that are equally what the sailors need. They need the water to travel upon. That is their bread and butter. But the thing that they rely on most, the thing that they love most, is at the same time their greatest enemy. The thing that can, at any moment, a wave big enough, seas harsh enough, no matter how strong a sailor you are, you may defeat the sea a few times. You may overcome a storm. You may overcome the sea. But the strongest sailing ship can never defeat the full might of Leviathan. And so every time the sailors go out upon the ocean, they know they're putting their lives in the hands of their God's father, or mother, or however you want to see Leviathan, and that this father or mother, they are not kind. They're not kind like their God. The Red River will carry ships. As long as you don't disrespect the Dingen, your travels upon the Red River, unless you run into pirates, will be free and pleasant. However, the sea is not so nice. Leviathan appreciates your sacrifices. Leviathan appreciates your respect, but it may not be enough. And so that strong, sort of moody passion is in Dingen, although more ordered, because he is not the sea full of the waves and the changing all the time, but he is the river, always flowing, always going, never ever stopping. And that is partly because of the force of the Igvale you can see all around me. Igvale being air, being sky, being this free, fluttering, flittering thing that is not bound. Unlike many of the other elder creators in Kvegathil, it is not stuck in any one place. It moves about freely, even deep into the underworld. And this movement, this frenetic energy of go, 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 of you can just do things, of I'm going to do it anyway, that has gone into Dingen, but again, it has been ordered. So the moody nature of the ocean and the sort of free, flighty nature of the sky, it's been ordered into this direct line, focused with a sort of power, similar, if you will, to a ship. A thing of a ship. It's inside. It's all chaos. It's oarsmen and it's the cook, and people are running about. To those uninitiated in the nautical life, it looks like madness. But what is it all for? All of it is to keep the ship moving in one particular direction and to then change that direction if necessary. So I see Dingen as this great sort of microcosm of chaos that all sort of coalesces into order, which I think is very interesting. And you can do that in the preaching of his followers in these priests, with the strange hats and bones hanging upon them, or these shamans, that barely clothed, drenched in water, with the kind of head, like headscarf of a poor dolphin that had washed up and died, and they had given this dolphin a funeral, and now they wear it out of respect. This shaman, and think of this shaman or this priest, and they're preaching of the sort of chaos you must wad through in your life, and the sort of many things that must be done, the ropes that must be secured, just as in your life you must secure yourself a home, the sails that must be rigged, just like in life you must work to build something that can carry you forward to find employment. The rowing, just like you may need to move to get up and move to leave where you are from and to go somewhere else. But all of it is for just as the sailing, just as all of that is for the ship to move, to go. All of this is for you to live your life, to live an ordered, structured life. But this ordered, structured life, mateys, can only be gained through the chaos of the sea and the sky. And so you've got sort of Igvale and Leviathan. And I could go into way more detail on that. And you know what? I will for a second. Because Igvale and Leviathan, they have another child, Fatash, so Dingin's greatest enemy. So both these divinities represent, I think, two sides of the same coin. The coin being the mix of the passion and the moody and the power of the sea and the strength and brutality of the sea, as well as the sort of flighty, free, endless potential of the sky. And but on one hand, you have all of that sort of focused, um, put as energy into a direct goal, into achieving order. And on the other hand, you put those two things together with Fatash, and you let them go free. You let them go wild, which is where you kind of can run into the cool contrast between these divinities, sort of chaotic energy put towards order, or an explosion of storms and power. Uh, that's part of why they dislike each other. But I like to think of Dingen. I think of like Poseidon, and Poseidon got in the sea more like Leviathan. Shut up. But like Poseidon, Neptune, these like bearded men with tridents, I give them a very Greco-Roman god vibe, with a bit of sort of old like Mesopotamian sort of stuff, but mainly that Greco-Roman vibe of giving these sacrifices of the laws of Dingen being disrespected, and so he crashes your ship upon the banks, very much calling down, going and being amongst the mortals. Although Dingen certainly is not as much of a philanderer as Zeus, but this sort of sailing god. I also give this like old fashioned, golden age of sailing sort of nautical aspect to him. He's like the think of the like superstitions of like sailors and stuff. It's like we spilled the guts of this goat as we go out on the expedition. We oh my goodness, we throw the bottle at the back of the boat as it sails out. These are real things, Dingen, that he's commanded. These are rituals. These are practices that can help his followers survive. That can help them earn his good favor. Um, and so there's a lot going on there. Now you got to talk about. Oh my gosh! Sorry, I had some surgery, so I've been drinking energy drinks. It sucks. It's awful. But back to Dingen. Oh yeah, yeah. Really quick before I go into his personality and agenda, I forgot about this, but this is awesome. His avatar, as in like the mortal who has been blessed with power and is connected to him, is Ia'aka, or Ia'aka, however you pronounce it, who is the first dolphin, which is just such a funny thing to have in the book. It's like, yeah, he's the first dolphin. Like his avatar is like the Adam of dolphins, uh, which is just which just tickles me silly. The dolphin patrols the waterways of the Red River. You better watch out for this guy if you're a pirate. I'm serious. This dolphin can come up onto your ship and just water will come up with him and you'll be done. Uh, um, but so personality and agenda. So before we discuss his personality and how he would reveal himself to mortals, we've got to understand what his agenda is. So a few looks into this would be that his that he is seen as as an interloper god by the sirens, as he has aided the species of land in their journeys upon the sea. So Dingen was the one who taught the people of the land how to really go out onto the sea. Before him, there were orc rafts, and little cyclopes, like bull boats, but that's nothing. Dingen, he taught the building of boats. He taught navigation. His gifts to the world were ship making and navigation at sea. So he taught the mortals how to do those things. Uh, and so what he desires is to make the seas and the rivers open to everyone, to all of his sailors, to everyone who worships him. And by doing so, why would he want that? Even putting aside his ideals, putting aside what he believes and desires as the god of sailors, he is the god of sailors, and so there's a pragmatic benefit to him. The more people of the land who engage in his ways, who follow his laws, the more his power grows. And in the book, he's spirit level 6. In my game, in my games, Dingen is slowly but surely gaining uh, spiritual power, and he will reach spirit level 7 relatively soon because of this, because more people are sailing out onto the sea, because Rogerland's small navy is growing, and even the navies of his enemies, even the Typhon, the Mother Jurgens, just by the act of sailing, they are giving Dingen power. Just by the act of building boats, just by the act of navigating upon the ocean, even the sirens, even the Photoshans, when they when they navigate, let's say they're swimming in the ocean, and they find out how to go from one place to another. That very simple act gives Dingen power. And so his goal, he wants to build that up. He wants to grow in that, to give. This is why he is seen as such a giving God. It's because all he must do is give and demand certain sort of. There's very little Dingen tells you have to do. There's a lot he says you can't do. He says you can't harm a dolphin. He says you can't aid the followers of Fatash or Kraken. He says you can't treat dock workers disrespectfully. You can't overfish. But there's some things that he says to do which can tell you more about his agenda. He says that you must make blood sacrifices before leaving port. This is a power hungry God. This is a God who wants his sacrifices, who wants his proper thanks for the gifts he's given. He says you must kill sharks. So he is opposed to something, to the sirens and uh, to the ways of the Tosh. So he has something he wants to destroy, to defeat, an evil lined up against him, or at least that's the way he sees it. He says you must help sailors stranded at sea. So there's a heroic aspect to it. Dingen does care for his followers. Dingen does love his followers, and he demands that they have the same care and respect for one another. And he forbids overfishing, and so there's a sense of respect. He respects his parents. He respects his wife. He condemns disrespect towards Lacedarnia, and he also commands that you be obedient to the superiors in the faith. And there's the order. There's the captain, first mate, bosun, that sort of structure. And so that tells us something about his agenda, that he is building a loose but organized structure of sailors, of workers, of people all working towards clear goals and achieving things, producing food, but responsibly. And so I imagine Dingen, an authoritative and greedy but semi-benevolent force, who appears coming up out of the waters as a massive red-skinned man with a long blue beard and the horns of an ox. His skin is clay and his hair is water, and also known as Tessimicus. He is the living embodiment of the Red River, and so he's this big red being of clay and water. And he comes and he says, "You, sailor, you gave your sacrifice, and so I shall deign to speak to you, to look upon you as you had prayed for aid. You have failed in the proper respect of your ship. It is built poorly. The sails are poorly strung. Your oarsmen are lazy, and you come for me, and you come to me for aid. Aid shall be given, but more prayers and more sacrifices shall be demanded of you. And he saves you and he helps your ship through. But there's that stern, the anger of the uncle, the one who smacks you for your insolence, the one who gets you out of a bad situation and then gives you a less harsh, but still harsh punishment than what you would have faced in that situation. And he is demanding. He calls upon the captains to command their first mates. You know, I always have Dingen. He often only shows himself to the one of highest authority in an expedition. So you'll have a ship with clergy of Dingen, clerics of Dingen. But Dingen, even if he appears, even if others may see him, he only addresses the captain. Or if there is a master of the expedition, he only addresses the master. Or if it is a fleet of ships and there is an admiral, he only has words for the admiral, and the admiral is expected then to pass it to the masters to the captains to their first mates, the first mates to the boatswains, and the boatswains to the rest of the crew. As this is no, oh, sailing ships are a democracy. It's none of that bullshit, made up, fake lies about pirates and sailors. This is a structured ship with crewmates with particular jobs, with captains, with order, with hierarchy. But there is a flexibility to it. The sailor. This is no nobility. This is no military structure. Not so rigid and what's the word? Not so rigid and staying in one place. Uh, it's active. It's flexible. The sailors, they go to the captain and they say, "Hi, Captain, uh, and with all due respect, the plot you've charted, it's dangerous, Captain. I've been down this route many a time, and these rocks, they're not worth it for this cargo." And maybe the captain he blows him off. He says, "No, we must make this trip." Or maybe he says, "You are a sailor. You are a fellow member of my crew, and I know you're older. I know you've been around the block. I trust you on this. We will chart a different course. We will find a different way." And this pleases Dingen, for this is what he is: the flexible order, the one who offers much and seeks those to take what he offers, so that he may grow in power. And go ahead and if you have any questions about Dingen, go ahead and ask them in the comments, and I'll answer any of them. If you thought anything was missing from this video, let me know, and I'll make sure that such things are present in the next video, which will be about Seishin. But remember, smooth sailing and fuck you.